that if no one is running against you, you can automatically gain a seat in the functional constituency. But in this case of voting for the LSD chairman, unless you can also have a choice of voting no. I mean, just like all other 40 or so votes, you can still have a choice of voting no. What does the LSD constitution say if more than half of them vote against the candidate, but while there's only one candidate?
You need to revote again.
Okay.
Yeah. So
until it reaches.
So Andrew has still got the pressure, like last time after the show, and he talked with me and you met about it. So he also wanted to get your vote because you were busy on that day, so we were rushing out there.
Yeah, I was down there. Yeah, I made sure I got down to that meeting because it's interesting. Every time I tried to get down to this annual general meeting and just to see what's going on, and there's always new faces and there's obviously old faces and there's all sorts of things going on, and you can kind of pick up a bit on even though I don't understand Chinese, I could still it was great. It was interesting for anyone who's interested in politics. Just you can feel kind of the atmosphere actually, and we all went out for a few drinks. Had a big dinner actually in Corso Bay, and it was kind of quite fun.
Yeah. And to get back to your question, Matt, so that the mechanism sort of guarantees that the candidate couldn't be too relaxed, even though there's no candidate running against him or her.
I think that's right actually. Yeah, because obviously Andrew, and he gave a speech, didn't he? And he did feel he had to justify himself, and it was interesting also after he was elected, he made quite a big point that he felt that he wanted to go to the people who didn't vote for him and to try to change their mind, actually. Yeah. And it was interesting that he was quite passionate about that. And, obviously, he's not going to have an easy job. I think he's going to be, it's going to be a tough job, I think, for the next 2 years, dealing with within the different factions within his own political group, but also I can see it's going to be tough as regards dealing with other pro-democracy groups, the Civic Party and Democratic Party and so on. But he's certainly a different kind of guy to Raymond. So we'll have to see what happens, won't we? Quite how it affects, but LSD and so on. But and how it plays out.
And last time when I interviewed Andrew in my show earlier, I was asking him if he got elected, what would be the immediate, not so immediate, but the significant task that he would certainly tackle within his period as a chairman. He said that he would like to turn the League of Social Democrats into a political party. So he would like to make it a party, just like the Labour Party in the UK. So this is the long-term development of the LSD that he thought he should be thinking of. Not only that, but he also told the media that he would like to broaden the support of the LSD, sort of tell people that we are not only having protests on the street all the time, but look at our EXCO executive committee. We do have lots of educated people. Lots of them got university degree, and also even two have the law degrees. So to tell people that try to broaden the support of the people.
Yeah, I can see that's what they're trying to do actually, and plan for the long term and try to gain support through. Through that kind of way, and you're right. It needs different ways, I think. Getting to the streets, but also, you need clever people behind, having small meetings and backroom discussions, and to decide the direction that LSD needs to go and so on. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. We want to also, before we finish, we want to talk a bit about the big story in Hong Kong last week. For any international listeners, basically a building collapsed in near Hung Hom in a place called To Kwa Wan, wasn't it? Basically, it was a 50-year-old building. There was a few workmen on the ground floor doing a bit of renovations. Suddenly, they ran out, and the whole building, literally the whole building, collapsed, wasn't it? It was like a 4 or 5 story building sort of thing, I think. Yeah. I've been thinking about that. And the more you think about it, it's quite a political story, actually. Anyone who knows Hong Kong really well will know that there's surprisingly quite a lot of old buildings in different working class and poorer areas of Hong Kong. There's nothing wrong with old buildings and so on, but as long as you maintain them. And I'm just trying to compare Hong Kong to other developed countries, and it seems that the government aren't putting the money in that they should to maintain and making sure that the old buildings are checked, and making sure they've got enough inspectors to check them. I'm not necessarily saying that if it's a private building, the government shouldn't spend money on it, but certainly they should make sure that the landlords, because let's face it, those landlords have those buildings have got some serious cash to make sure that they put enough money into maintaining it. But I was just thinking, comparing. I just think a tragedy like that, because obviously 4 people were killed. A tragedy like that just wouldn't happen. I was thinking in Scandinavia, in Sweden or Denmark, where they just pump a lot more money into maintaining older buildings, and it just seems that particularly the working class areas and the poor areas, the people are screwed. Basically, they're screwed in these low cost housing buildings. I mean, can you see that? Do you see that as a kind of a political issue? Or not? I mean, would it happen? You've spent a long time in Canada. Would that kind of thing happen in Canada?
Oh, of course not. I mean, when people heard about the collapse of the building in To Kwa Wan, I mean, this is really one of its kind that we wouldn't heard often elsewhere. I mean, the other time you heard about it, probably the WTC, the World Trade Center, but of course this is a story of a different sort, of a building collapsing. But I think the government's reaction also sort of echoed to what you've just mentioned, Matt, because when the government tried to provide temporary shelter to those who lost their homes in the incident, what's quite scary and made people angry was that one of those temporary shelter even had cracks and was also labeled as a building that required immediate renovation.
Right. So
those who were living in those temporary shelters were thinking about that. This is a second insult to them, because first time we already lost their home and we are sort of feeling very very anxious about the safety, and you housed me in another dangerous building.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to be very unlucky for lightning to strike twice. I mean, but you're right. It is a bit of an insult, though, isn't it? I mean, statistically, it's unlikely, but certainly it's a bit of an insult. And I can imagine, because you can imagine all